You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. In today's episode, me and Pat are going to discuss Zach LaVine apparently preferring to go to LA. Which LA team that is, we'll talk about it. Also, LaVine and Billy Donovan's relationship is beyond repairable, according to Joe Cowley. And while throughout all this turmoil, the Chicago Bulls franchise worth is actually up 18%. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm HAize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started.
Hey, before you go into the Bull stuff, the Babadook?
The Babadook.
That's crazy. That was crazy, bro.
That was crazy.
The Babadook was crazy. What a joke. That was an elite joke. Okay, I got to give you credit on it, bro.
Hey, listen, it is.
Go over to Chicago Bulls Central if you're wondering what I'm talking about.
Bears,
the Babadook is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Listen, when the roasting start, you never know where things gonna go, man. But anyway, speaking of not knowing where things are gonna go, Zach LaVine and his camp apparently, according to Joe Cowley, nice segue there, right? Nice segue there.
What a segue. Oh, you on a roll today, brother. Oh, you're elite today.
Prefer a trade to LA. Now, which LA team was not mentioned in this? Now, later on in the article, he did go and talk about the assets that the Lakers have, so maybe inferring that it's the Lakers. The Clippers, you never know what they're going to do. After trading for James Harden, it's just, I highly doubt it. But when you hear that, Pat, how you feeling about hearing that Zach LaVine prefers a trade to LA?
I mean, right, have we just been putting this off for 2 years?
Yeah.
Is that all you're telling me? Is that basically what we're saying here, right? We just been putting this off for 2 years. Zach LaVine, right? Like, this has been reported that he's wanted to go to LA for a while now.
Yeah.
Now it seems like that seems to be the team that's most in on him. Of course, the Lakers, the team comes up most. Clippers to me might be sneaky, and I'll say might be sneaky for this reason. Every player the Lakers don't get, the Clippers name pops up with.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that they're intrigued by that. I don't know who we would want off of that roster. I mean, we still in on the future of Bones Highland at, what is Bones now, 30?
Is Bones Highland? He can't be, bro. You're tripping on that one.
I might be a little far on that. No, Terrence Mann is the one that's 30, right?
Oh, you're terrible with ages, bro. Bones Highland is 23.
Terrence Mann got to be 30.
Is he?
Terrence Mann got to be almost 30, bro. Terrence Mann is not young. Like, we keep talking about this future for these players.
Terrence Mann is 27 years old.
He almost 30, bro. Come on now. Come on. He almost 30, bro.
I mean, I get what you're coming from.
When did Mugg start saying you was almost 30?
Yeah, that's
27,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Almost 30. I'm not that far off. A lot of career left, though. No, but I'm not. I don't know what the Clippers are going to do, right? Listen, if there's a team I would rather trade with, it'd be the Clippers.
Yeah.
Let me get a Norman Powell. Let me get a Terrence Mann. Let me get a Bones Highland. We'll see where life takes us. I don't know if those contracts match up or not. They have basically almost no draft capital to send us in this trade. That would be interesting. And you know that's the team that's going to win. Lakers is also very interesting as well. Their draft capital a little bit more further down the line. Yeah. So maybe the Bulls will be intrigued by that. And also Hood Schifino, who me and you have both talked about as a player who on that Lakers team, I mean, I don't know if he's played a minute this year. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I've watched probably 16 or 17 Lakers games this year. I don't remember ever seeing Jalen Hood Schifino in one game. Like,
that probably means he's played every game because you be tripping sometimes.
Wow, you don't do me like that. Jesus.
Jalen Hood Schifino has played in 5 games for the Lakers. He only averages 10 minutes.
I'm on point then.
Yeah,
okay, all right.
Yeah,
you treat me like I'm looking for the Babadook, but I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Zach to LA doesn't surprise me. I think he's always wanted to be. I think he's always had an affinity to an
Yeah.
LA team. I'm not going to say he's always wanted to be there, but I think he's always had an affinity to being in a team that, I mean, minus the Supersonics, he had to root for a little bit, right? Like, you got to love Kobe. He's from that era of basketball as well. So I'm not surprised by any of it. And to me, I'm okay with the assets that we'd get back on both fronts on that. I think the tough part for me is the D'Angelo Russell part of it, because that's the name that keeps getting thrown in there. And on top of that, the Lakers have basically said that they're open to shopping D'Angelo Russell at this point. That makes this more interesting. Here's the question I throw back to you. Because of that, right? Because they're willing to shop D'Lo, and that news basically came out, I think, yesterday or day before yesterday. Because the money works if you send Rui and D'Lo and maybe a first-round pick, which you can send this Friday. Should we be preparing for Zach LaVine to be moved in December? Because it does seem like the Chicago Bulls are kind of done with Zach LaVine.
Yeah. Yeah. They're done. I mean, at the end of the day, I think anybody who's like, I know there are people still holding out hope. Well, maybe this, maybe that. If you have not come to the reality, this is just like the realization that we wanted people to come to. This team isn't blowing it all up. They're not going for a rebuild. It's not repairable. But
is this a December 15th deal? Are we talking about this?
No,
Friday?
This isn't going down to probably mid-January. And maybe even further on than that. Okay. So I don't think that I know we initially kept hearing that December 15th, but I don't think a deal gets done to like I said, midpoint of January. We got another month of this, brother.
Well, only reason I say that is because the news we got about win now players aren't Jalen Hood-Schifino.
True, but that's
the only player you'd be waiting on.
That's what they're targeting. You're still going to get some young players back in that. So I know that they want win now players back, but there's going to be more than that as well.
Well, I mean, Rui and D'Lo pretty much is the money, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, who else we taking? Schifino is literally the one guy.
Schifino is literally a throw-in. Like, if you add in Terry Taylor to Zach LaVine, you can get Schifino. No, I'm serious. Like, I don't even mean to, like.
I'm not saying you're not serious. Yeah. It's the fact that Terry Taylor gets so little love here from Billy Donovan. And I'm just like, can he play? Every time he gets on the court, he gets like 4 rebounds and he only plays a minute and a half. Like, can he play at all? Can we utilize him? But no, 100%, right? Like, I think the Bulls would be more intrigued to go in on younger players, especially seeing as how, I mean, listen, the younger players that outside of Kobe, Io's kind of come back a little bit. P. Will is still a question mark. And the undrafted guys have been horrible. I'll tell you what, the bit of the G League that I have watched has been Justin Lewis not looking like the guy that we thought he was going to be. I'll tell you that much.
Well, Justin Lewis was an undrafted rookie. I think he's also coming back.
So was Adama Sanago.
True, but he's coming back from ACL injury. We've seen players take 18 months to get back to themselves. He's played his last couple of G League games have been solid. Like, he maybe get back into that rhythm, but yeah, we won't be able to really know what happens with Justin Lewis until next year at this point. So
I just wonder if this is one where they're both so done that it gets done earlier than the 15th. Because, right, if we get Rui, we get D'Lo, we get a first-round pick back, which is what? I think it's their 2027 first-round pick.
No, they can't trade to 2028, I believe.
2028? So maybe it's 2029. Because I know they don't have – I don't believe they have the 2028 pick. So maybe it's the 2029 pick. One way or the other, right? One, LeBron's not going to be on the team. Two, well, maybe not. I don't know, bro. I saw a stat today. This man in his 21st season is literally averaging 17 points more than the next person that has played 21 seasons.
That's crazy.
LeBron is not slowing down, y'all. I need y'all to understand. Listen, I know we love Jordan. I get it. MJ, go, fine. We're here. We all understand. He's in his 21st season.
Yeah.
The next best person is averaging 7.5 points per game. LeBron currently is averaging 25 points per game. Y'all enjoy this because he's about to leave the NBA. Like, it's almost maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, you know what I mean? But
I mean, I understand what they're hoping for and what they're wishing this turns into, but it's just not going. I don't know, bro. I don't know what the Lakers are doing. I have no faith in what the Lakers.
I have not. Listen, me neither. Which is why, fine, send Zach. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Maybe Zach gets a ring over there. Maybe they win a championship with Zach LaVine, and you go out there and get it. But we understand what the future of this team is. Probably a team that's able to compete long term. No LeBron James. You're probably talking about a team that's competitive, but maybe doesn't get over the hump on a consistent basis. And okay, I'm willing to take a risk on the 2029 pick. I guess if you're dead set on Shafino, you wait till Jan 15th. But I think that the Bulls are kind of at a point, because we keep hearing these things of, I'm just done with this. Let's move on.
Well, that I can understand, but he's not going to be playing. So I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I mean, maybe you do see something get done sooner, but to me, if December 15th was the date that this front office had in place, I don't think they would have announced it for 3 weeks as far as that injury. I think that kind of shows that, not to say that maybe if a team offers the right deal that they would not hesitate to go ahead and move it if it's the right deal. But I think ultimately you're probably waiting to Jan 15th.
We'll see what it ends up being, man. There's a lot of interesting moves that could be made. According to Cowley as well, there's no market for Zach still.
Yeah, I mean, everybody keeps saying that,
but
it is what it is.
I mean, it's also not December 15th, right? December 16th, the market's going to be wide open.
Yeah, that's a fact. But next up, man, we're going to be talking about the relationship between Zach LaVine and Billy Donovan, as reported again by Joe Cowley. Before we get into that, I want to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150. $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. For example, right now, if you look at tomorrow's game, Utah Jazz versus the Portland Trailblazers, aka the Toilet Bowl, the Utah Jazz are giving up 1.5 points in that game. So if you're inclined to bet on that and a former Bull in Laurie Marketing, that may be the game that you decide to look at there. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, Pat. So in that same article, it was listed in there that while it's amicable between Billy Donovan and Zach LaVine, basically they can be in the same space at the same time without trying to kill each other. It's beyond repair, mainly on Zach's side, that it's done. Zach LaVine does not want to play for Billy Donovan, and reported by Joe Cowley, he's been overplaying for Billy Donovan for over a year. How do you feel about that, Pat?
I mean, I guess this whole situation is weird because it stems from one game where Zach played the worst I've ever seen Zach LaVine play. Right? Like, I get it if we're talking about like there's been the continuous like distrust in Billy Donovan, Zach LaVine, and maybe there has been, but I don't know. Like, this goes to the Charlotte game. The Charlotte game is literally the worst game we've seen him play in a Chicago Bulls uniform. He was 1 for 14. He was defensively god awful. I think his plus minus in that game was a -28. Yeah. Like, that's the scenario that you're upset about and that has led to this relationship. I don't know. The Billy Donovan, Zach LaVine relationship being broken because of that, to me, is a very weird situation. And I think that Billy's name is probably the easy one to attach to it. I've said this multiple times. To me, this is a Michael Reinsdorf level decision at this point. And I think that a lot of the ill will and the distrust does come from ownership on this.
Yeah.
See, I mean, you know what the problem is? I put the Babadook on the screen, and that's where it went down.
Yeah, I think ultimately it just comes down to this. There is distrust all over. I think there's to me, and this is just speculation, not reporting, right? You tell me how you feel about this, Pat. I feel like maybe part of Zach LaVine's frustration right now is that when you see a team struggling and you know that the franchise that you are playing for is not going to move on from a head coach no matter what, I think that's kind of like already having problems with Billy Donovan. Let's say the Bulls that came into the season and they were winning. I don't think that you would have seen it like kind of how it's gone now. I think that maybe winning would have cured that. Yeah. And then when you start losing on top of that, and you look at the players around you, maybe not playing the best. Now Kobe's really thriving. That it just set that frustration in, and like, I don't want to play for this guy. And I think that's what it came to.
It could be, right? It could be that as well. I think that there's more than just Billy Donovan in here. I think Billy Donovan is the easy guy to go to, though. You know what I mean? Like, there is, I do think that there is a distrust with Billy Donovan. I do think that there's an issue with Billy Donovan. I do think that losing compounds all of that. But on top of that, I do think that there is Zach LaVine knowing how ownership feels about him. Zach LaVine knowing, that the front office at this point is taking calls on him every opportunity that they get, right? And I will say this, right? I get it. Other teams have called about Zach LaVine. But when you're the number one guy, teams don't call about you. When you're Derrick Rose, teams aren't calling to say, can I get you in a trade?
Yeah.
Because they know they can't get you in a trade, right? When you're Joakim Noah, he's the number 2 guy. Teams don't call about you. When you're LeBron James, teams aren't calling about you. When you're Kevin Durant, well, maybe.
Maybe.
I'll take that one back. Maybe. You never know how KD's feeling at that moment. But usually when you're the number one guy, teams know you're the number one guy. And so they just go, he's the number one guy. We're not going to get him.
Yeah.
We're not calling about him. We're calling about other pieces on the team. Zach LaVine has been called about every year. That tells you kind of how this organization has moved and how they feel about him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, we've already talked about it like before. There's already been rumblings that this front office didn't necessarily have or the ownership didn't necessarily have the most faith in Zach LaVine anyway.
Yeah.
So
no, 100%. So I don't know what this is going to, how this is all going to come to a head, how this is all going to end. I think the main thing is right now you have to ask yourself, because the relationship is gone. I do believe that. I do believe the relationship is gone. You have to ask yourself, what's the best course of action for the guys I have with the head coach that I have? Because the other thing we do know, Billy Donovan's not going anywhere.
That's a fact. This is a fact.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe there's some Christmas Day thing that ends up popping up. I doubt it. You know what I mean? I doubt it.
Yeah.
Like I don't see the Bulls moving off of Billy Donovan at any point. I'm gonna be real with you. And you know what's very consistent with the Bulls? If Zach LaVine hadn't asked out, they wouldn't have traded him.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, we talked about that before. This Zach LaVine trade request is literally the thing that's forcing change for the Chicago Bulls team. They would have gone through this. Now, who's to say? Kobe White's hit a development. I don't know if you doubt, could he have hit that with Zach LaVine still on the team or not? But at the end of the day, I think it comes down to just this, is that
he looked better.
Yeah,
but he didn't look like this guy.
But he had to go. He had to figure it out, right? But I don't think that anything would have changed had Zach LaVine not requested this trade.
No,
and that's just is what it is.
And I mean, listen, nothing changed until Paxson said, "I can't do it anymore."
Yeah.
And that's really what it is, man. So before we get into this final topic where we talk about how much money Jerry Reinsdorf is just killing us for every single year. I mean, why do we do this? We keep coming back. You want to know why? Because we're die hard. That's why. It's not a good reason anymore. But first, we got to tell you guys about Dave. What is Dave? Dave is a banking app that's leveling the financial playing field. When you download Dave, you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. It's Dave of Dave Extra. It's part of Dave's Extra Cash, I should say. Advance the money you need with no interest and then settle up later. Extra Cash gives you money to buy groceries, fill your tank, finally get your car repaired, or catch up on bills without having to wait for your next paycheck. You can even build credit when you settle up on time. Millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to make their finances easier. Download Dave today at dave.com/LockedOnNBA. That's dave.com/LockedOnNBA. You can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com/LockedOnNBA for terms and conditions. Go to dave.com/LockedOnNBA. Eligibility criteria and instant transfer fees applied. Banking service provided by Evolve, member FDIC.
All right, Pat, last topic of the day. Shout out to CF Football Candy on here. We're going to dedicate this one to him. And I don't even necessarily mean that negatively, but just in reality, he's been one of the more vocal people on talking about the Bulls and the platform, and we got to hit him in the pockets where it hurts. Well, guess what? The Chicago Bulls value is up 18%. 18%. That's wild considering how the season has gone. What does that say to you when you've seen how the season's gone? What's happening for Chicago Bulls? The fact that right now their worth is up to $4.8 billion.
What are we surprised about? We know how we support this team. We know how we rock with this team. We know how global this team is. We know what this team does worldwide. This team is massive in Australia. This team is massive in South America. This team is massive in the Philippines. See, it's one of the most iconic sports brands known to man. When we say hit them in the pocketbooks, you're not hitting them in the pocketbooks. You're hitting them in the embarrassment.
That's funny,
right? It looks bad if my stands aren't filled.
Yeah.
Looks bad if the front row isn't filled. It looks bad. And guess what? That's why they're doing things to commemorate the 90s team, which, by the way, Jordan and Pippen, are they going to be in the same room? I can't wait to see that. But
that's the thing. I mean, you talked about this offer, but I'm going to bring it here for the nature of the conversation. Do we know for sure that they're going to do a ceremony? Like,
I believe they're doing an in-person ceremony.
Okay. I figured that. That's what I'm saying. It's not going to be anything that's necessarily aired, though, right?
No, I don't think it's going to be aired. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Why wouldn't you?
I mean,
I
never know with this team.
You know you're going to get old dudes to tune in and be like, Jordan's back, baby. Look at Jordan and Pippen. Maybe Jordan and Pippen hug it out, and then, like, Jordan whispers in his ear, like, my son's got your wife. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, like, maybe there's something like that goes on. I don't know. So we'll see.
Son's got your wife. That's funny.
Hey, it's crazy.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you know, how does that work for if they have kids? Don't worry about it. I went too far. I went too far down the rabbit hole.
You're thinking a little too deep.
I went too far down the rabbit hole there. I was just like, so is that like Scotty's uncle? Yeah. Like also like nephew, son, like how does that? I don't know.
Nephew, son. That's weird. That's weird.
Yeah, because technically Scottie Pippen Jr. that's his brother, right? But like for Scotty, is that just like the other dude? I don't know. It's a crazy time. All I'm saying is this: at the end of the day, the Bulls being worth a lot of money is not surprising to me, and us not going to games is not going to change that.
Yeah,
right. Like I love the fact that the people that believe that think change would have come if John Paxson hadn't said, I can't do it. Like, that's what cracks me up. Like, everybody believes that, when people stopped going to games, change happened. No, it didn't. When John Paxson went and said, it's not going to work anymore, that's when change happened.
Yeah.
The change that would have happened for people not showing up is maybe they swapped the head coach. Maybe Jim Boylan got fired no matter what. They weren't going to change Pax.
They weren't. And
they
people
weren't.
forget that too. Like they had no plans or intention on changing John Paxson.
They love Pax. Pax won us 6 rings. Now, he didn't. Well, no. What was Pax here for? 4? Was he here for all 6?
No. Pax was here for 3.
Pax was here for 3.
Yeah.
Pax won us 3 rings and literally won you one of them.
Yeah.
You think they were going to get rid of Pax? Kenny Williams survived 20 plus years. Kenny Williams didn't win anything. He did win the World Series. He put that lightning in a bottle team together, I guess. He brought a Scott Podsednik. But Kenny Williams did nothing.
Yeah.
For 19 of the 20 years.
Exactly. Exactly.
Pax wasn't going anywhere, right? So hit them in the pocketbooks. Well, they're worth 18% more.
That's a fact.
They pocketbooks look a little fatter.
And
hey,
they're
man,
not going to spend that on the luxury tax. So there you go.
Man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to Show Love. I was going to drop a joke. That was going to be too far. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to Show Love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. As always, your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. This is not my show, so HAize, give them your socials.
You guys can follow me at CEO HAize, man. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. Make sure you guys are following us on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. For Pat the Designer, I'm HAize. This has been Locked On Bulls and the Babadook. Peace, y'all.
Bro, that mug is looking all over the place.
At the same damn time.
That's tough.